Just months after former world finalist Mervyn King made headlines for his own tax troubles, another darts star is in even deeper. Rob Cross, the 2018 world champion, the man who rose from electrician to legend, has been banned from running any company until 2030. Investigators say he failed to pay over £450,000 in taxes, pulled hundreds of thousands from his business, and funneled massive sums to undisclosed accounts. Now he's under a 5-year financial ban, legally bound to repay his debts with future darts earnings. How does one of the sport's brightest stars end up facing a financial collapse like this? And can he possibly come back from it? Before he was Voltage, before the titles, the sponsorships, and the scandal, Rob Cross was wiring up homes for a living. He wasn't born into the sport. He wasn't molded by big academies or groomed by sponsors. He was an electrician from Hastings, a guy playing local pub leagues after work, throwing darts in his spare time. Just another name on the board. But even back then, people noticed something different. He was calm, calculated, unshakably focused. No big celebrations, no trash talk, just relentless precision. By 2016, Cross was starting to make waves in the amateur circuit, putting in serious hours and racking up wins. The shift was quiet but clear. This wasn't a hobby anymore, it was an obsession. Then came the leap. In 2017, Cross earned his PDC Tour card, the golden ticket to the big leagues. And once he stepped into the pro scene, things moved fast. He didn't just hang in there, he dominated. He made 4 Pro Tour finals in his first year and won 3 of them. Darts fans started asking the same question: who is this guy? But no one was ready for what happened next. The 2018 World Championship was supposed to be a coronation for the legends. Phil Taylor's farewell run, Michael Van Gerwen's dominance, the usual suspects at the top. Rob Cross wasn't even in the conversation. And yet, round after round, he kept knocking out bigger names. He didn't flinch, didn't blink, and in the final, he took down Taylor himself, the most decorated player in the history of the sport. Just like that, Rob Cross became world champion in his debut year. It was one of the most electrifying rises darts had ever seen. Headlines called it a miracle. Fans called it destiny. Sponsors came calling. The money started pouring in. Cross wasn't just a player anymore, he was a brand. Voltage was everywhere. TV spots, exhibitions, big contracts. The underdog had become the face of the sport almost overnight. But meteoric rises have a cost. Because while Rob Cross was dominating the Aki, something else was quietly building in the background. Something no one outside his circle could see. And it had nothing to do with darts. After the confetti settled and the interviews died down, Rob Cross did what many rising stars do when the spotlight hits. He tried to turn his success into something sustainable. Winning the World Championship had catapulted him into a new tax bracket overnight. The endorsements, appearance fees, prize money, it was all adding up fast. And when money moves that quickly, so do the responsibilities that come with it. So he made a move that, on paper, looked smart. He set up Rob Cross Darts Limited. The idea was simple and common for athletes. A limited company could handle incoming revenue, streamline sponsorships, and manage business expenses, all while providing certain legal protections. It would also help with taxes, assuming things were done right. He could separate his personal finances from his professional brand, at least in theory. But here's the thing. Success in sport doesn't automatically translate into success in business. And while Cross may have had a world-class throw, he didn't necessarily have world-class financial oversight. The company started operating, but quietly, it was sliding into dangerous territory. From the outside, things still looked fine. Cross was traveling the circuit, showing up to tournaments, staying active on the PDC Tour. Fans saw a polished professional, still capable of top-tier performances. What they didn't see was the mounting trouble inside the books. The business, despite all the income, wasn't doing what businesses are legally required to do: pay its taxes. But that wasn't immediately obvious. The thing about financial missteps is that they don't blow up in one moment. They drip, slowly, over time. A missed deadline here, a quiet withdrawal there. Maybe a little extra pulled out to cover travel or personal expenses. At first, no alarms go off, but over time the holes widen. Cross wasn't just a darts player anymore. He was the director of a company, and directors have duties to creditors, to HMRC, and to the public. Whether he understood those responsibilities fully or not, he was still legally bound by them. And somewhere along the line, those duties started to slip. Money was leaving the company, but not enough was going where it needed to. The signs were there. They just weren't public. Yet, the numbers didn't lie, but they took a while to surface. Between March 2020 and November 2023, Rob Cross Darts Limited had only paid £41,936 in taxes. That figure by itself might seem like a minor lapse, but the real number, the total tax bill owed, was staggering, more than £450,000. To be precise, £403,896 in corporation tax, £49,071 in VAT, and £12,436 in pay and national insurance contributions. In other words, a massive shortfall. It wasn't an accounting error. This wasn't about a missed form or some paperwork lost in the shuffle. It was systematic, and worse, it was happening over a period of nearly 4 years. As HMRC and the Insolvency Service began pulling back the curtain, they found something far more troubling than unpaid bills. Cross had withdrawn at least £306,403 from the company for personal use. Not as salary, not as a dividend, just taken out. And while a business owner drawing from their own company isn't illegal in itself, doing so while failing to pay legally owed taxes? That's a big red flag. But it didn't stop there. Investigators also uncovered a suspicious transfer. £665,419 moved from Rob Cross Darts Limited to a connected party's personal account. That's the official language, but it raises a very obvious question. Where did that money actually go? And why was it sent there? No clear answers were given. No explanation was made public. And in cases like this, silence usually speaks volumes. To make matters worse, Cross's director's loan account, the internal tally of what he owed the business, was overdrawn by £423,608. That's not just bad management. That's draining a company dry. When a director owes more to the business than the business has in cash flow, it creates a financial time bomb. And eventually, it went off. In November 2023, Rob Cross Darts Limited collapsed into liquidation. When the books were finally closed, the company was left with liabilities totaling £579,805. The funds were gone, the debts unpaid, and HMRC was left holding the bag. By this point, the collapse wasn't just a private financial failure. It was a matter of public record. What had started as a promising business venture by a world champion had become a textbook case of how quickly things can unravel when obligations are ignored. And with the numbers laid bare, one thing became clear. This wasn't going to end quietly. When the numbers finally came to light, there wasn't much room for debate. The Insolvency Service had done its homework, and the case against Rob Cross was clear. Mismanagement, personal withdrawals, and a mountain of unpaid taxes. The financial damage was real, not just to his company, but to the public purse. Rather than fight it, Cross admitted what had happened. He acknowledged that his actions were to the risk and ultimate detriment of HMRC. That line, dry, official, basically means he put the tax office at serious financial risk, and that's not something the government takes lightly. In response, the Secretary of State stepped in with a hammer blow, a 5-year disqualification from acting as a company director. effective from June 5, 2025. That means Rob Cross can't manage, promote, or even help form a company until 2030, unless he gets special permission from the court, which isn't likely. Kevin Reed, a chief investigator at the Insolvency Service, didn't mince words. He called the case a reminder that when directors ignore their legal duties, especially when public money is involved, there are consequences. Serious ones. For Cross, the ruling wasn't just about taxes, it was about trust. And in the business world, once that trust is gone, it's hard to get back, no matter how many trophies are on your shelf. With the company liquidated, the debt still standing, and the disqualification looming, Rob Cross faced a new reality. He still had to pay. But with the business gone and no corporate structure to lean on, there was only one thing left to tap into: his future. In 2024, Cross entered into what's known as an Individual Voluntary Agreement, or IVA. It's a legal deal used when someone's in serious debt but still has a potential income. In Cross's case, that income would come from darts, prize money, appearance fees, and any other earnings from the sport. Under the terms of the IVA, he committed to making regular payments to an insolvency practitioner with the money drawn directly from his future tournament winnings. Essentially, every dart he throws now is tied to past mistakes. He's not just playing to win, he's playing to repay. It's a rare and very public kind of financial leash. Most athletes talk about legacy, about trophies and rankings, but for Cross, at least for the foreseeable future, success means something different: keeping the tax office satisfied and staying out of further legal trouble. It's not glamorous. It's not part of the championship narrative fans usually hear, but it's real. And it's now a permanent part of his story. You'd think a scandal like this would knock most athletes off their game. But somehow, Rob Cross is still standing, still throwing, still competing. Even with the disqualification set to kick in and the IVA slicing into his future earnings, Cross hasn't vanished from the professional darts scene. In fact, he's scheduled to face off against Andreas Harrison in the next tournament in Copenhagen. Business ban or not, he's still showing up, dart in hand, head down, doing what he knows best. That's what's so fascinating. Publicly, his reputation has taken a hit. He's under financial scrutiny, legally bound to pay off massive debts, and can't legally run a business until 2030. But on the Aki, he's still a threat, still sharp, still capable of beating the best. It begs the question, is this resilience or just a distraction? Is he pushing through to reclaim his name, or is he just trying to keep the money flowing long enough to stay afloat? Either way, the pressure isn't just psychological now, it's financial. Every match carries more than just sporting consequences. A good tournament can shave thousands off his debt. A bad one? It delays everything. For Rob Cross, darts used to be about glory. Now, it's about survival. And somehow that's made watching him more intense than ever. It's a strange place to be. Part redemption arc, part financial cautionary tale. Rob Cross is still competing, still pulling in fans, still landing doubles under pressure. But the man who once shocked the world as darts' ultimate underdog is now playing under a very different kind of spotlight. He's no longer just the guy who beat Phil Taylor in his debut year. He's the guy with $500,000 in unpaid taxes, a disqualified company, and a legal agreement tying his career earnings to past mistakes. And while he's managed to keep his game sharp for now, the shadow of that scandal isn't going anywhere soon. What happens next? That's the million-pound question. Can he rebuild his brand, clear his name, and somehow turn this mess into a comeback story? Or is this just the beginning of a slow fade from the spotlight? One where the real damage wasn't done at the board, but in the bank? Whatever the outcome, one thing's clear. Rob Cross's story isn't just about darts anymore. It's about what happens when sudden success meets real-world responsibility, and what it costs when you drop the ball on everything but the game. So, what do you think? Redemption in the making, or a legacy unraveling in real time?